great guest on today, Michele Timms, one of the all-time greats.
Unbelievable. I've done my normal research.
Can you give me, just scratch your research surface?
Like, okay, 260 games playing for Australia. Like,
Wow.
Like, think about that.
Yeah.
You know, she's been in the WNBA. She's won championships in the WNBL. She's won championships in Europe. This lady is incredibly impressive. We're going to talk to her about a lot of this and also what she's doing right now. And I'm super excited. This is maybe going to be one of our best podcasts yet.
I think so, and I'm very excited about it. But before we get into that, a little word for our sponsors.
Absolutely.
BK Basketball, Brian Curl Basketball.
Back on his feet?
Back on his feet, moving around. I'll be seeing him on Monday, I hope. Great program, but you know, Michele also has an academy.
Yeah, so she's going to tell us about that. That's a female academy only?
That's one question I have.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian. Also, Chris Weir of FIT Education, a great RTO, who look after the diplomas and certificates of the kids in the Brian Curl Academy, of which there's 21 kids. It's things growing out of sight. Also to Ryan Stahlberg from Big Dog Sports.
Stolly. Benny T involved.
Benny T is a partner in this.
That's Benny Thompson.
Also a champion bloke and a champion player. But if you know, we have a serious shortage of courts. And Ryan and Big Dog Sports, Ryan and Ben, great service that you're providing. And also any other carpentry work, Ryan's your boy.
Absolutely.
Okay, without any further ado.
Let's dial in, and our next thing is to talking to the great Michele Timms.
Can't wait.
Oh, it's in progress.
We're in progress. So
Do you chop and change? Do you chop this up, or whatever we say stays?
Yeah, that's why we have a producer, so you can say whatever you want, whenever you want.
So we're going to get started. We want to start with your academy.
Oh, okay.
And work backwards. Is that all right?
All right. Well, when do we get to talk about you?
It's me.
You and the memories. Albert Park days, mate.
Oh, we will. We will.
Good old days.
Let's start right there. We'd have all the Yanks coming down on Friday afternoons. Timsy was the only female baller, unless I'm missing somebody. Did Robin ever jump in? Robin Marr ever?
She had a real job. I was like you, mate, working at Basketball Victoria back in those, of VBA back in those days, where our playground was 9 basketball courts and a lake, which I don't think you ventured around very often, but we did. But yeah, mate, those days were awesome. I've got such fond memories. I'm so glad after all this time I get to talk to you, and you too, Steve. But
That's okay.
History with Brucey. Brucey was the one that everybody loved him. Like, he was a bit of a sex symbol back in those days. I'm sure you still are to a certain age.
In my own aging way, of course. Yeah.
Everybody loved Brucey and Brian, and Bruce. Some of the best moments of I don't remember a lot. For some reason, I got a terrible memory, but and I've always had. It's not like early stages of dementia, or I hope it's not, but I've always had a shitty memory. But I remember certain things about back in the old Albert Park days when you used to do commentary on Court 1 when we were playing, and one of the greatest ones of all time when I've given Helen Fuchs a brushback, and I've accidentally, it's my space. We get taught the brushback. Don't do it these days though. And you were up in the commentary box commentating, and Neil Bradbury's called a blocking foul on Helen Fuchs, and you've pulled back the commentary glass and yelled out, "Bradbury, that's terrible, terrible!" Like, you were such a funny bugger back in those days on that. They gave him a microphone. It was crazy. They gave him a microphone, and he used to call the games back in the day up in the glass box on Court 1 at the old Albert Park. It was hilarious.
Bruce doesn't wear nice enough suit jackets to commentate today, so that because he would be the best commentator of all time on
I can imagine
NBL.
him and Tommy Marr, like Tom Marr got one gig doing the commentary a couple of years ago, and that was all, because he was too brutally honest and they didn't like it, But
Correct.
yeah, no, Bruce would be fantastic.
I,
Fantastic to hear him, along with Derek Rucker.
Yeah,
He's
Derek's a good
he's a
commentator.
good analyst.
yeah, he's a great he's good.
Let me ask, with all of your experience and you're well-spoken and you're good, the camera does not hurt you. Why don't you do more, or have you not been asked to do more of the WNBL commentating?
Good question. I guess that's a little bit twofold. I get really like as you know, there's a lot of work that goes into
Yeah.
commentating for starters. It's not a matter of just going to a game, rocking up and calling a game. It's hours and hours of preparation for a 2-hour block. And so one side of it was don't offer me $300 to do a game. And the other side was 300. And the other side was don't like I get really anxious, a bit, anxiety to it all. And I often worry about sitting in the chair and not being able to see the game with clarity and seeing it as a spectator and worried that I might, and then I did the World Cup and I felt like, okay, if I do well here, I'm going to get back into it full-fledged, like full on. But I felt like I stumbled around a bit and the anxiety wasn't worth it. And I don't feel like I did a very good job during the World Cup. And the other thing is I like to be liked. And too many during the World Cup, I had too many of the players just not like me for my comments and that. And it was I just there's too many negatives and not enough positives to do commentary for me. I
Well,
wish I was good at it though, because I would really like to be able to do it. What I needed to do was go into a course somewhere or, go through 6 or 8 months of a school of it, and learn how to do it properly. But yeah, didn't do that. I wouldn't even know where you'd start to do that. And I had some great lessons on the run though with my early days, and that's probably when I was at my best with it was when I was a player, and I do some commentary with the ABC. And that was scary because you just got chucked out on live TV and had to sink or swim. But I felt like I was okay in that environment at that stage. And then I sort of went away from the game a little bit and came back to it. And by that time, I kind of felt maybe I'd lost a little bit, or maybe I'm not going to be intelligent enough to,
I think
do
being
it.
real is still important in that. I get what you say about being polished and stuff, but I still like to see real commentators out there, like what Derek does well is analyze the game. He understands where some of the commentators don't understand the game as well as he does, for example.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'd be too technical. That's because I see it probably like you guys from a real technical way, like, just the angle of the screen or just stuff that might, in the women's game, we're trying to just get people to watch it, you probably don't need to be as technical because
Well,
even
we talk about Bruce. Can I just mention a story? I was a young sideline 10 or 10 many years when Bruce was coaching the Bullets, and I did my very first game, and I had to interview Bruce coming off the halftime. And you got to ask open questions. No matter what I said, his answers were yes, no.
What a bugger.
Yeah. And so that's our friend.
So that's how the relationship began. That's beautiful.
So that ended my career. Thank you, Bruce. But anyway, let's get back to you.
Let's start now with the Michele Timms basketball. It's the Bendigo Bank Michele Timms Basketball Academy.
Yeah, well, the Bendigo Bank support me each year. So they give me some money, which I put into the domestic branch. So I have it's called the MTBA, Michele Timms Basketball Academy, but there's like an elite branch, and which are kids who play under 12 and under 14 VJBL, Friday night rep ball. And then there's a domestic side, which is like my version of, I guess, Aussie Hoops or one of those programs, which is for 6 to 9-year-olds and then 9 to 12-year-olds, kids who are just playing domestically.
Right. Okay. So When did this get started? When did you start this? When you came back from China?
Yeah, well, it actually started a little bit before. I tried to run an academy maybe 10 years prior when I had a bit of time, and then did it for about a year, then headed off overseas to coach and follow Tommy Maher over there. And then on the way back, it's always something that I've always wanted to do, is to start my own academy and put back into the sport. And I guess I got that from a famous basketball name in the Tomlinsons, because when I went through teachers college, I had to go out and I had to coach swimming. And so I went to their Tullamarine Swimming School, which is quite famous here in Melbourne, and did about, I don't know, I want to say half a year teaching swimming. And I thought, man, this is the most rewarding thing I've ever done, you know? And then that sort of planted the seed that I wanted to have get that feeling from coaching little kids in basketball. So when I came back from China, I'd send a few emails out to all the stadiums and that around Melbourne, because the hardest thing is to get court space here in Melbourne. And I swear, as soon as I touched down and put my phone on, I had a message, and it was from the YMCA, who was in charge of a lot of the venues in the Manningham municipality where I live. And they said, look, got your email. We just happen to be opening a brand new 5-court venue in Donvale. Would you like to come and be one of our first, tenants? I'm like, hell yeah. So I took 5 nights there, and that was in 2018, and have run it since then, and built it and built it. And now I'm really proud of what I've been able to build.
Is this both girls and boys,
Oh
Michele?
yeah. We're all hoopers.
We're all
Know
hoopers.
what sexes you are when you walk
And
out on the court.
and obviously you need help doing that with something of that size. So is there a coaching development part of this as well?
There is well, I'm super lucky. You're not going to believe this, but my assistant is Tom Ma. So Tommy and I run the academy together, the elite branch of it. And then I use assistant coaches who are former like Friday night rep players and that, who
Yeah.
have already have a bit of knowledge. And I use them in my domestic arm of the academy,
Yeah.
and the good ones I move into my elite academy. And then a lot of them now, which I'm really proud of, have gone on and started their own basketball businesses.
Really?
Oh
Like
yeah,
individual coaching and
yeah, it's huge down here. It is like, the economy might not be great, but parents always find money for their kids and want the best for their kids. And so there's so many private coaches available to the kids these days. It's unbelievable. And there's room for it,
it's definitely grown up here.
Yeah.
It has, but we got 5 times the problem with venues.
Yeah.
Brisbane City, there's just not enough.
Yeah, we still don't have enough down here. So I was super lucky to get into a brand new state-of-the-art 5-court beautiful venue. So
I
I
think
hold
it's I think it's great, Michele, that Tom. I didn't know that
yeah.
Tommy Mars still, because what a brilliant basketball mind, that you got him involved with the elite stuff is fantastic.
Yeah, and he's so good. Like the kids often, I mean, they don't know who this old guy is, but the kids are so lucky to have him. Like Tom taught me so much as a junior, right up sorry, in the senior ranks. And we do part of his program back in those days still with these kids. Like Bruce, on a Thursday night, we'd always have an underwater training down at Albert Park, and we only had an hour session, and we'd spend, I think we had 15 minutes on the clock, and we always went through the same stuff every session, which was, your jab and goes, your up fakes, your different finishes, and just laying the foundations for the correct footwork, and of course doing it dynamically and getting to the basket in as few dribbles as possible, So I'm really lucky to have him as a mentor. I've been so fortunate I can't speak highly enough of him, as a person
You
and
always have.
as my mentor.
He's one of Tommy, Lindsay, Tom Marr, Lindsay only because what he is, basketball wouldn't be where it is today.
Yeah.
I had the chance to play for Lindsay. He's a unique man, and Gorgon. I
Yeah.
had this discussion with Robin in 2000. I was hoping that you'd be there. We had the Pete's Bar in 2019. And afterwards, I had a chance I was hoping you were going to be there, but you had your
I have my
academy.
academy. Yeah, it's too hard because I don't get to go to many of them. I went to the last one last year, but yeah, I've just got to zip back. It's too tight for me to get back to my academy. Yeah. So
But
sorry.
Is that every day for you?
Yeah, yeah. But it's not, I mean, that's the coaching is the easy part. It's all the admin and rubbish on the side that I hate that I spend hours and hours every day on the computer, firing off emails, answering emails. So that's the tricky part for me. The coaching part is I love it, but I probably don't make quite enough money to hire someone to do all that invoicing and all that shit stuff that I really I don't have.
we got so much
It's
I want
called
to talk about.
AI, Michelle.
Yeah, great.
Do you guys have assessments and do you like tests, shooting
No,
tests, dribbling tests, passing?
no, we have the kids for an hour, one time a week in an 8-week block. So the only testing we kind of do is just something we created ourselves at our at camps where we have them for 9 hours over 3 days. But not really. But I mean, typical. I mean, you probably experience this, you guys yourselves, with the limited amount of time. You want to teach so much, but you've really got to pick out what's the important stuff. And going around and watching these Friday night games with the under 12 kids, it's passing, which I think is probably the biggest skill that gets overlooked, but one of the most important skills in the game. Your handles, being able to handle dynamically at speed, and your foundational footwork, and then of course the defensive technique. And we teach within an hour. We always have a component of fast breaking and understanding the principles of fast breaking and the principles of play. With you pass, you blast.
Okay, language.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
one
it's
thing
not new. It's
yeah,
but you go to a lot of trainings and a lot of games, and you kind of think, is that stuff getting taught? Or are you too worried about teaching bloody offenses and shit excuse my language, and stuff to to your kids that really should just peel it right back and get the basic foundations set, and then the IQ of it, like the basic principles of play.
I mean, IQ is something that you were absolutely known for and, would be a cornerstone of your game. How did you develop that? I mean, some people have it instinctively, but there's got to be a learning phase, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know that I played with a lot of IQ as a junior. It wasn't until the great man, Tom, I started working with Tom when I moved to Nunawading that I started to understand the game and realize how much IQ there was. And every day was a learning, I was learning about the game using what I already had from my junior days, and then adding the IQ to the game was through my Spectre days and playing with the Opals and playing under or alongside Robin Ma. I mean, she's her and I'd say Christy Harrower, like two of the smartest players I played with, really great IQ. And so you can't help but learn. And Tom was really big on the IQ. No good having the tools if you don't have this to go with the tool, to drive it. So
Yeah, we're a little critical at times up here with this AAU stuff starting to creep in and out of, and it's great. I love kids playing the game and enjoying it because we want them to love the game, right? But I just worry that the teaching side of things in that AAU style of basketball is missed a bit. It's just
what's AAU? Part of my
sort of come from America.
It's the
They don't train; they just play
oh,
tournaments.
Amateur Athletic Union. And what they do, they have those tournaments, you'll play 5 games in a day.
oh, well,
They
that's
play more than they practice.
yeah.
And
I don't know how that works because when you to become a better player, you got to be able to train. Like you want to train at your optimal level. That's why training's for 3 hours out the window. That's kind of old. Like it's tough to be dynamic and and for long periods of time. And I think I learned that from Tom is that he started peeling back the hours for the opals because he realized that after a certain period it became a bit mush, and you don't want to train that way. You want to be dynamic, and you want to and peel the amount of time that you have on the court back instead
That's
of
a really good insight.
yeah.
You know, because that's the one thing, you know, with young coaches and stuff, they repetition of a drill, you know, they're never perfect, are they? And don't stay on them too long because the kids get bored.
Yeah,
Bruce and I talk constantly about loving the game.
yeah,
Kids that love the game, like you when you were young, what did you do outside of training? Repetition, you worked on that yourself, correct?
correct. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's important that the fundamentals are
Absolutely.
key of the game.
Well, this is, I'm glad you brought up the point about IQ, because I have a little thing festering in me at the moment is the style of play that we play in Australia. And I
Okay.
feel like the IQ of the point guard is being obliterated, or it's not. It's, you run those dribble handoffs and, stuff like that, sideline, that east to west movement, which drives me absolute nuts, into handoffs and stuff. Where's the IQ of the game? If Bruce is in, he's got 4 fouls. I'm running this next play at Bruce. Okay, oh, there's this amount of time on the clock. I'm going to run the, or this player's hot. How do I get them the ball? What play do I need to run to get? And I feel that I'm worried about the IQ of the point guards, obviously, because they run the show, and have it, needing to get the ball in the players or understanding of the game, And I've worried that the style of play that we're playing is really dumbing down the point guard.
Good point.
Very.
Can I pivot?
We like to pivot a lot.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I would think that you would be a huge attraction to be a head coach here. So have you been approached about coaching in the WNBL or NBL?
Back in the day, I was asked to coach in the WNBL, but it's not my thing. I'm happy being an assistant. In fact, in regards to being part of a team and coaching in a team environment, those days are done for me. I really have no desire to be involved in a WNBL or anything. I'm happy running my academy, but I was always really happy once I finished playing to be an assistant coach. I love the scouting aspect of it, because I was brought up with having to, like the era that we came up in, you studied game tape, you look for signs, not only on the players, but the plays. So I love that side. So that was a natural thing for me to go into that, be an assistant coach. And to be honest, I didn't want the pressure. I didn't want the pressure of it all, of being a head coach. Sounds wussy, but
But you were a head coach after assisting Tom with the Chinese national team. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you stay on? What was the team that you coached? Or was that the national team?
No, I was assistant coach.
To the national team, but didn't you stay?
Yeah, I stayed, and then I became an assistant coach with the Beijing Ducks.
Okay.
And then I was an assistant coach back with the new Chinese national team coach. And I head coached, as you know, like with the national teams over there, a lot of times you head coach the trainings and that. And but I didn't. So I'd take like the junior team during when the phase was that the women's team would go back and play for their clubs. I'd stay and then be head coach of their junior national team, be it the under 17s or under 19s or whatever, and do their trainings. But I never toured with them or anything like that. And it was only a 3-month spot.
How many years in total were you in China?
Damn, they were great years too. I love China. Love that brown paper bag. um,
Where your money came in. Here's some RMB.
yeah. Nah, US dollar, baby. It was
Oh,
unbelievable.
US. Oh,
Even
You
better.
know what? They'd come up at the end of training and once a month, and there'd be this big brown paper bag. It was like, it seemed so shady, and I remember the first couple of times I went back to the apartment and my daughter was real young, and I said, we jumped on the bed and we were throwing these $100 bills up in the air,
That's so good.
But so I went over there. Tom, in 2008, was head coach of the Chinese national team. And I went over there because they sacked his assistant, who was a French guy. And he was so against them doing it. the only reason they said to me, well, we'll let you pick your next assistant coach. And so how lucky am I? I'm coaching with the South Dragons under Shane Heal. And then Tom calls me out of the blue and says, hey, do you want to come over to China? And this is like, we're talking January and the Beijing Olympics are in June, July. And I'm like, hell yeah. So my daughter and I jumped on a plane and headed over there then. And then, so I did the 2008. And then I think I came back to Australia and did the Olympic cycle with the Opals. And then after that, which took me to, what's that? What's after 2008, 2012?
Well,
and then after that, I went back to China and
right.
pretty much stayed there till 2018.
I was able to see, because I was in that same era, I was there at the NBA school, and I saw Robin. Tommy had to come, he was doing some interview at our school. And it was great because I had just come back. I had to come back here for medical reasons. And Robin was great. It was like we'd never, I mean, it was just like in Albert Park again. But I didn't get a chance to catch up with Tommy because he came and watched one of Gorgon's games in Da Long, which is near Dongguan. And he was feted like royalty, those big chairs in the middle of the thing. I tried to work my way down and I got stopped by 4 guys, all with cigarettes in their mouths, saying, it's me, Bruce. It didn't work. So that's an interesting one. I want to get now your playing career, and we got to mention that you're in 3 separate Hall of Fames: Women's Basketball Hall of Fame or Women's Sport Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's FIBA, right? Women's FIBA.
Oh, the FIBA Hall of Fame, yeah.
And now Naismith Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Because we of course we go Wikipedia because it's always accurate. You're in the Women's Sport Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there's one in America, yeah.
And then FIBA.
Other than the Naismith, yeah.
And Naismith.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Were you?
It is, it's incredible because I don't feel like it's going to sound stupid. I'm a bit embarrassed because when you look at the players around and players that are in there, I kind of don't see myself like that, But anyway, another story.
Well, we do, yes, definitely. And like, I mean, my generation, I didn't watch a lot of female basketball, but I watched the Opals, and I watched you perform on that international level. I watched you when you were one of the first international people playing in the WNBA. Like, you did 5 years at the Phoenix, right?
Yeah, about that 97, 98, 99, 2000. Yeah, 5 years. Yeah.
Were you the first Australian to play in the WNBA?
Yeah, I was. So at the start of the WNBA, they had an allotment of players, and so the WNBA itself picked how many teams? I think 16 players, and then each team sat in a big room and got to pick out their players. So they had like a pick a ball out, that's your number of players. So then I got picked to Phoenix then, and then they had a draft after that to fill the rest of the team.
Okay.
So I went to Phoenix, yeah.
You got your singer retired there?
Yeah, which blows me away, especially when you look at...
You're so humble.
Diana Taurasi, Penny Taylor, I was never MVP. I was never an MVP of anything. I was more of an all-star kind of girl. But I never reached the heights that I feel I didn't anyway, of these players. They're unbelievable.
You were a winner. What, 5 championships in the WNBL?
Oh, yeah. Won championships. Yeah.
You won in Europe. There's a theme here. You're very humble, and it's amazing talking to you. But when I just dug a bit deeper than what I already organically knew, I was just blown away at what you have achieved. It is mind-blowing, and you certainly deserve everything that you have. And Bruce and I have been excited this entire time when we said we get to chat to you. You know what I mean? I know you and Bruce are personally good buddies.
Mate, I was excited. I was so excited.
Yeah, and
I said Andrew Gaze is the GOAT, right? In men's basketball, in NBL here. Yourself? Lauren Jackson. I mean, there's so many women. Sandy
Yeah.
Brundle. I mean, with what she's
Penny Taylor, like,
Penny
yeah,
Taylor.
yeah. Like, I think Penny gets forgotten a little bit because she does live in America, so she's not kind of seen as much around here. But what she did was unbelievable. Like for me, in the women's game, I guess you know who could have been a GOAT is Cambridge, could have been, but what a waste.
Is
Anyway,
Angel Reese the modern day Liz Cambage?
sorry.
Is Angel Reese the modern day Liz Cambage?
I don't know. I don't know about her. My jury's still out on. I know what she's trying to do with at the moment with her platform, but I don't know. She's got the runs under the board, you know. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know Angel Reese so much, but yeah,
But then there's Caitlin Clark that's just hit.
Caitlin Clark's unbelievable. And you know what? The new GM over there, I know, so I'm a bit excited. I contacted her the other day and she said, look, Timms, if you ever want to come out to a game, I'm like, hell yeah, I'd love to see Caitlin Clark play live. Like I'm a massive, massive fan. It's just
Likewise,
super.
I think
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
incredible.
And the news in the paper down here on the week this week was that the WNBL, thank goodness, you know, it's the new ownership's stepping in as of April 1st. And no, it's not a joke. The new guys are taking over, and the first thing they had was a little snippet saying that, you know, they'd love to get someone like Caitlin Clark out here to help promote the game, and whether it be play a game or watch a game, whatever. I mean, that'd be unbelievable. That'd be as big as the Pelicans coming out, no problem at all.
But that's possible, right? Like, who would have thought that the men would play NBA teams? And
Yeah. Oh, well,
that was my wildest dreams to even have any Australians, male or
yeah,
female, playing in the NBA, you know, in the US was just, you know, I was a little kid out of Bundaberg on bitumen courts, you know, and it's just crazy to see what opportunities for both the boys and girls. I follow a lot of that stuff, you know, that Australia put up about all the kids playing college in the US. I love reading their stories.
yeah, it's fantastic. And if anyone can make Kate, you know, say potentially have Caitlin Clark come out here, it would be Larry Kesselman. So I've got my fingers crossed on that one. But you're right, the opportunities for young girls now to play in the WNBA is huge. So many Australian players over there at the moment.
Yeah, I see.
Let me ask, can I pivot?
Yeah.
Hell, it's your show.
I want to know who your best teammates were, both with the Opals and, you know, playing Nuttawading and everyone. I would assume Robin's one of those.
Yeah, that's a gimme.
Ribbit.
That's a gimme. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say for a number of different reasons, but Shelley Gorman,
Okay.
incredible player and incredible roommate, and Sandy Brondello. We always like our early days in the Opals. We had a lot of fun, you know. So and great player, great teammate, and those two especially really because we were all the same. You know, we pushed each other so hard. Every training was a beat up. Like it was so physical and. Yeah, and then we walk off the court and we're all best mates and sharing rooms together, and you know it was just.
I was so impressed. It was 2010, and Tommy asked me to come on no, was it 2000? No, it was 97.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I was at that camp at the Institute. I learned so much right from Tom.
Yeah.
How to run the camp, his themes. We use those to this day.
Mate, you ask any Opal from that era. I mean, I can tell you them right now. They never leave you, you know. And whenever you look at an Opals team, you wonder if they have those themes. Those players have those themes, even though each new coach has a different slant on what their themes are. Like I'm sure Sandy Brondello has a few that are the same as Tom Mars, but I know that ours we used to because we'd get tested. I mean, you know, you were there.
I was there when two girls rocked up. And you remember the Institute had that foyer. Tom had a scale there, a butcher scale.
Yeah.
And they didn't meet their target weight. And the cab was running. And off you go. And I thought, wow, this is serious.
Yeah. And you know what? There were some real good players who came and went and didn't make the Australian team because, you know, Tom was really stringent. You know, we all were because those themes were built from not only the coaching staff but the players as well. So we created that as a group together. So that was our culture, and that we really held that really highly. And even though we didn't make the decision on who made a team or not, really the cultural values in a lot of times did.
It's become self-evident. You know, you can't turn it on and off like a tap.
But you know,
live
like,
it.
were the Opals before the Boomers with that sort of mentality? I think I think you were. I think probably
Oh yeah, totally.
Paddy and
100%.
Joe probably have been the ones to try to drive that same sort of mentality. But I think the Opals were way before the Boomers.
Yeah, no, Tom took over in 94, I think, or the very end of 93, which led us into Oz 94. So it was back then when, you know, what it really meant to be an Opal and what we were going to stand for. I mean, I never forget the meeting to this day that we had up at the AIS, where we all got split up into groups with coaches, assistant coaches, coaching, you know, like the medics, physios, and we all, you know, had a big whiteboard, and we wrote down everything we liked about all the other teams, like the way we viewed the USA. What are some things? Well, they're you know, they're arrogant, they're this, they're that, they're good offense, they're athletic, whatever. And we went through all the teams around the world, and then we sat there as a big group, and we split off into groups then, and then we started crossing things off the whiteboard of what we didn't want to be. Well, we didn't want to be arrogant, so that word went. We want to be a great defensive team, so that stayed. We want to be a we team. So slowly this whiteboard full of words got narrowed back to just 7. You know, we wanted to be a physical team, assertive, being able to handle adversity, a we group, show relentless persistence at all time, and what was the last one? Be flexible. And I don't mean touch your toes. So
No, every player can play every position.
Yeah, exactly.
Can defend small, close stuff. I
Yeah.
learned a great deal from all of that, and
That's incredible.
you know, Tommy, huge influence on that experience was a huge influence on me, and I've kept that with me ever since. Mike Dunlap was another one. I'd been coaching up here. It was my first year at Brisbane, so I'd coached 7 years with the Giants here, and Mike's asking me, what's the most important things defensively? And I said, rebounding. I said, well, that's good. Because I mean, I had to think about it. Is it ball pressure? Is it communication? Is it road? You know, and those are his 4 pillars, and I've taken that, right? That, hey, mate, you know, every pass, dribble, and shots contested. So, I mean, it really started me thinking about, can I define my philosophy? And I enjoyed some success, but without it, you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to, you know, blow with the breeze.
Yeah.
Toughest opponents that you played against?
Well, I think playing against Sandy Bondell and Shelley Gorman in Australia was tough. They were unbelievably hard to defend. Christy Harrower was hard.
Yeah.
Overseas, Hortensia, famous Brazilian player, and Paula Magic, another Brazilian player. So we had unbelievable rivalry with Brazil back in the day.
Yeah.
And Hortensia, I don't know if any of your listeners heard her, but she's that famous in Brazilian basketball. They had a Barbie doll named after her. So she's big time, like the biggest female player to come out of Brazil. So she was unbelievable. Robin would usually take her, and then I'd have my time on her with the Opals. And then I'd have to take the other girl, who was called Magic Paolo. And she was incredible as well, could pass the ball unbelievably, had silky skills, you know. But in the WNBA, I'd say Cynthia Cooper. She was unbelievable. Like she was doing the Euro step before the Euro step was a thing. You know, like
I didn't know about it when I was young. I never heard of it.
I didn't. She just always made that move naturally, you know. It didn't have a name, which don't bring me. We could go on for another hour about this. Does it drive you nuts how you feel like everybody's got to have leave a footprint in the game? It drives me nuts. I'm just going to vent here.
Good, insult. Go.
Every time someone comes in to coach, they've got to come up with their own lingo that does nothing but confuse the heck out of the kids. Like
Yes.
then in Melbourne, well, the split line went to the nail, then the nail went to, you had your high-low first, and then the nail, then I don't know. In Melbourne, suddenly captain, they called the captain the split line. It's like, and every time I, venturing through the basketball over the decades, people who feel like they have to come in and change the lingo,
Every little move has got a name where
oh man.
we put it between your legs and crossed over and called it nothing other than that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but it's confusing for the kids, Like they come to me and every time someone new takes over, a branch, whether it's in Basketball Victoria or whatever, suddenly there's this new thing. So where the hell did that come? What does that mean? It's like you don't have to leave an imprint, all right? Just
It's
let it be.
usually your terminology, your verbiage, your glossary of terms.
Mm,
That is part of your culture,
yeah.
of the team's culture. And we went through this because I'm really can't wait. I'm coaching year 10 A's, not
Mm,
B's, not C's, at Brisbane Grammar. And guy you won't remember, but Dan George, he played for Mark Leader at Geelong when they
mm,
won their championships. Really a
Good guy.
good guy, really bright. Grammar is a lot, it's the first time that they've really kind of done decent in basketball because it's very expensive, very exclusive
School.
high Asian population. Everybody comes here to become a doctor, a engineer, a lawyer.
yeah.
But getting that terminology down that for us, for Brisbane Grammar, we still say split line,
Mm,
lane line. You know
mm.
what I mean? The bend now, it used to be called the nipple, but that too many giggles. So okay, it's the bend. Knowing the geography of the court and your verbiage is
Yeah,
important.
it
And it
is.
does establish this is us. This is
Yeah,
our culture.
yeah. Oh, what about short corner? I heard someone call it the island. And it's like, mate, it's the short corner. It's just,
It's a short corner.
It's,
hell?
The
that's all it
the
is.
elbow becomes the shoulder.
Yeah,
Uh,
what the hell?
you know, I,
Leave
I
it alone, please, people.
I feel good that you feel the same. That's great.
All
I
right.
mean, I
Yeah,
agree with
yeah.
you. There's just, and I think that's part of this is you said there's everyone making a living out of basketball now, which is great. There's these coaches. I mean, tennis coaches and swimming coaches have been making money for years before basketball coaches did in doing individuals. So why not? Okay, but I think that's been part of this, having I say it this way, I've gone to some American camp and I've come back with this piece of information
mm,
and so I own it. No one owns this game. It, you
No.
know, and we all know what each other does, and it's just how well you execute, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, you can watch a scout and go for it, but the other thing's stopping it.
yeah.
That's the
Timsy, I'm going to pivot. I want to get back to your academy.
yeah.
I would think that people from Brisbane, from Queensland, would benefit from coming down to your academy. Do you guys look international or first Australia wide? Is it open to anybody that wanted to come down
Yeah.
and
Yeah. No, it's the difficult thing for people wanting to come down is it's a term thing. So you do an 8-week block, 1 hour a week. But we do run holiday camps.
right?
So that'd be the thing that if I was from interstate that I'd look into is a 3-day, oh, it's not 3 days, it's 3 days, 3 hours a day,
Yeah.
which I just said before, 3 hours not great, but we puff it out.
Yeah, but have we had many come from Queensland to the camp?
We haven't had, I think we had one come from Queensland once, but we get a lot of New South Wales kids come down, which is great. And I think the biggest takeaway from them is just the intensity that they get a taste of the intensity that you've got to train at, and I think that's something that's a real eye opener for them, as well as the educational side of breaking down the fundamentals,
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
the big thing
Well,
is
it's
the intent.
because Bruce and now violations and insults is such a huge covering that we're going to make sure that we see get some more Queenslanders down there getting some training with Michele
You
Timms.
don't mind if we promote your
Hell no.
academy and your
No.
camps?
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually got one coming up on the 8th, 9th, and 10th of April that I haven't started advertising yet. The thing about my camps too is it's I often don't advertise them because I don't take a lot of kids, because we don't try and have 100 kids. We just, like this camp, for example, we're only taking 36 kids.
Yep.
And our elite academy, we only have 10 kids on a court with 2 coaches. So we don't try and just take numbers, because it's really tough, trying to get a lot of things done where people are paying you pretty good money when too many kids, because then, it's
Not enough reps, not enough playing, not enough
being able to
attention.
go, okay, you need this, you need that, not enough personalized when you have too many kids. So we'll have 3 courts going, 12 kids on a court for the camp, over 3 courts. Yeah.
Nice.
In your mind, and again, such a great playing and coaching career. What skills, offensive skills, do you think are the 3 most important for the developing player?
The 3 most what, sorry?
The 3 most critical skills for development for young players offensively.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if I understand your question, but one, if I do, it's definitely dynamic. You need to be dynamic. Secondly, is the footwork. Is that the sort of
Yeah, well, let's look at offensive skills because I had to go through this when I was running the academy. What's the highest priority? And for us, if you can't shoot, play soccer.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Definitely shooting. Like we have a bracket of shooting. See, an hour is so short, and you're really relying on the kids to absorb the information and go away and train. And
Right.
that's what drives me nuts these days. I don't think, maybe I'm guessing, but I think the kids don't train enough on their own. They don't do, I don't know that they do the reps that I know I certainly did, and probably you guys did out in the backyard, and working on your skill set. So it's like, don't come to me for 8 weeks, 1 hour a week and expect to get better unless you're going to put in time off the court, So, shooting, we're big on basic fundamentals of the footwork,
Yeah.
got to be able to shift the defender before you go anywhere. The only problem with that is that under 12s, the defense is so bad, the kids don't need to shift the defender. But we always make them every session. They've got to go through their footwork, like jab and goes, rocket step, up fake go, all the basics, foundations. And then when you're older and you're under 16s, under 18s, if you wanted all that rubbish, sideways, BS between them, go ahead.
I watch. It's one of the things that I bring up, but in Queensland, unlike Victoria, any kind of a recommendation that's not in place, then you're viewed as a militant. But I look at these people, everybody's doing individuals. And I'm like, wow, mate, if you're not, particularly the feet, I want perfect feet on every shot.
Yeah.
You see, you got nobody guarding them, but they watch the NBA, WNBA, where they have they got to get that shot off, and they leaning back on one foot.
Yeah.
And they're doing this with a gun, with Dr. Dish. And I said, hey, what's happening here? If you're not teaching it correctly, they're learning. They're getting reps, and they're going to now you got to break that habit, and particularly with the shot.
Yeah.
I think the other thing, all the ball handling, the dribbling,
ball handling.
You go on social and you look at going around cones and everything else is, okay, but I don't want what happens in young beginning players. You're a good player. I'm a good player. I just pass the ball to you, or you run and take it off me. So I would like to see for the under 14, under 12, limit the dribbles. You get 3 dribbles. I mean, each player when you get it, instead of just pounding the air out of the ball and not going anywhere, or doing the jitterbug between your legs and not getting anywhere. I think passing and catching.
Yeah, we're right on the same page there. We do a lot of handles, and it's like, it's fast break handling. So it's, if you can't beat your man with speed, you need to have something else. You need to have a great herky jerky or stop start and go, and so we do a lot. Each session we do a lot of handles as well, and then we put them into competitive handles. So can you get your man on your back? So if you can beat your man, can you get him on your back and beat him? This is full court we're talking, and which is the same principle. If I beat you 1-on-1, I want to cut you off as well.
Yeah.
But so we do a lot of handles on that, and a lot of handles on how to beat a trap. Like, I know you probably don't want to beat, if it's a good trap, you're not going to be able to beat it with the handles. You've got to beat it with the pass, obviously. But we also teach them how to, because in Victorian basketball, at the first, they have like a 3-month period where you're fighting to try and make VC or try to.
Yeah,
So
grading.
everybody just runs the arrow press. So you've got these kids who can't handle the ball. They're 10 years old, and and so we try and teach them how to, especially this first term, how to try and beat the press and where the fat side of the court is, and try and get into space, and don't go to the bloody sidelines, which appears to be a magnet for kids. Even up to under 18s, they head, even the WNBL head to the sidelines, and keeping them into the middle corridor. So we do a lot of first of all, handles, then 1-on-1 full court handles. Can the defender push you to the side? Can you get your man on your back and get down the court in 4 seconds? And then we'll go into just a fake little diamond trap that you've got to try and find your way out of, and you have 8 seconds, to get down the other end of the court. Yeah.
I'm doing
maybe we might to go down and visit.
I'd love to.
Could we go down and visit? Would you mind if too? Like, Statler and Waldorf.
We'd make you work, mate. We'd make you guys get on court with us and share your stuff.
I would love to.
Yeah.
We'd like, Statler and Waldorf of the Muppets. A
Yeah.
lot of people think Bruce and I are Statler and Waldorf. So
I've never seen the Muppets, so I don't know.
You have never seen the Muppets? You mean the two old guys?
Michelle would come on.
Two old guys up top,
I'd be too busy doing other things, like looking at.
Mate, we would be honored.
Yeah.
Honored to have you guys come down. That'd be awesome. Let's share.
I'd love to come down.
I plan on coming down because I haven't been. Last year I didn't get down, but I get to see Al, see Brian. When Brian's back down there, I wanted to come to Sydney to see Gorgeous preseason, but he was buggered. He had just got back from Paris. He lost his father this year, and I have empathy because I asked him, can I come down? I drop all that. Can I come down and watch your preseason? He goes, Bruce, mate, I don't even know where I'm living. I just got here. Their practice facilities, you talk about a shortage of practice facilities. Sydney's, inner city, Sydney. When you were there, where did you guys practice?
Alexandria.
Yeah, that was the hotbed by the airport, right?
Yeah, it was awesome. We had a little gym off the end of the court. We had a 1-court venue, and it's all we needed. And because I think it was privately owned, so we could rock down there whenever we wanted.
They didn't have Alexandria there. He was saying, mate, the venue.
Actually, sorry, it wasn't Alexandria. It was that little. It was that the place you're thinking of. It wasn't the Alexandria Stadium. It was like a little warehouse.
Okay. I'm not. But we'll get down. I want to see your stuff. I'd like.
We're gonna come. We're gonna let you know. We'll come down and.
Look, it's nothing ingenious. I mean, it's like it's all just the basic.
I love it.
Needs of what you need to be a good player that we know is successful, that Tom definitely knows is successful, and so do I now. So I think some of the players come here and come to the academy and like, I'd rather be doing between the legs, behind the back, But it's just ticking off.
Hey, can I ask? Yeah, I just love your passion, and I can sense it for the academy. How does it feel through all your career and all your coaching? You've got this academy that you turn up and you're influencing young people every day. What does that feel like?
It feels like an honor, like I feel really honored to be able to be in this position to do this, to run my academy. And I think that's probably not only turning them into better basketballers, but also hopefully better human beings as well. Like I feel like
there's the tick. There's the big tick.
Yeah, we've got this incredible vehicle called basketball that we get to, use to help build young kids' lives and help them understand about the right way to behave, right way to stand, how you, as simple as this. Don't talk while someone else is talking. It sounds simple, right? But teaching them, and then there's the life life lessons about winning and losing, and what if the scoreboard's saying this, and how else can you win a game, and just, the same things
How
that
do you behave when you lose?
well, exactly, exactly. And how do you treat a teammate? How do you handle adversity? Is that the appropriate behavior? So I feel like Tom and I are in a really fortunate position, especially with those more kids, like the elite kids, to teach some really good, valuable life lessons. Like, it's just simple things, Tom and I often talk about it, but we understand that they're the things that might make a difference at a tryout. Don't juggle the ball in your hands while the coach is talking. Have eyes on the coach, like real basic things, but things that are going to hold you in good. You better be listening, be a good listener. That's one of the key things that coaches want when you go to tryouts. If they say, right, form 3 groups of 2 on the baseline, and you can't do that, well, so just those little lessons as well
And
along
then
the
life
way.
lessons. I'm a bit biased. I work in the commercial world a bit these days, and sports people that have played sport and been well coached, they're often the best employees because they get it that you don't win every day, and they don't sulk and they don't blame others.
Yeah.
How can I be better? What can I do to be better? They reflect and don't sulk.
Yeah,
You know?
I think that's a big part of being successful. Or I think the difference between good players and great players are the ones that can handle adversity. So they know how to bounce back, and they know how to handle, certain situations, whether it's a scoreboard, or whether it's you know, taking a shot at the end of the game, or whether it's something bigger than that, like you're at a big tournament, and you find out that your mother's passed away, or you
Yes.
find out that someone's mother's passed away. The ability to handle adversity in sport, but in the workplace is the
Here's
difference.
another one about handling success.
Mm,
And one of the criticisms that I talk smack. Yeah, I'm over the moon because I had the same anxiety. Jesus, you don't sleep. I can't, you're nervous about, and you win, and now you're gloating. And bad thing to have. Real bad. You want to make enemies, gloat when you win and talk smack. I wanted to hit this up about, we talked a little briefly about these people doing individuals, and I'm sure it's happening there, right? And I know Damian Ryan's got a thing he's trying to hook into the Chinese. In fact, he hit me up recently. I said, man, I'm not there.
mm,
I didn't leave a footprint. As soon as you leave, it's gone. People yawn and boom, Palmer's thing is out the door.
yeah.
I wish they would give some form of accreditation, Basketball Queensland or Basketball Australia, that, hey, you're competent, right? You know what you're teaching. What is it if I sign up for 6 sessions? What's the outcome? Where do you want to get better? How can we measure that you have gotten better?
Mm,
I think because, again, you mentioned it, mom and dad will spend anything.
mm,
The kids love the game. They want to find out how good they can be. Well, I'm going to hire, this NBL 1 player to come and work them out.
mm,
And I don't know about Victoria, but Basketball Queensland, they're always looking for revenue. Well, here's another revenue source.
mm.
Most of them will say ignore it, but I would rather know that my stadium at Brisbane basketball, if we're hiring that out, that those kids are not, they're getting valued for their money is really what it comes down to.
It's a difficult one, because someone will say, I've done my level 1, I've done my level 2. So essentially, I can coach, right? But we all know there's a difference between someone who's done level 1, level 2. In that group, that there'll be ones that are better than others, and it's hard to manage. But I guess I'm critical of coaches that are just in the juniors, just focused on win at all costs, and that's not the right lesson to teach these kids.
Mm. Yeah, I know in Europe, I've got a friend who worked for FIBA for many, many years. So he's been, and like I'm talking 30 years, and he's been around basketball all his life. And he's decided to go back and coach.
Okay.
And he's, he's unbelievably experienced, but he's never coached before. But I was surprised last year when he told me he had to go back. He's not allowed to coach without a certain certificate, which takes you right back to being able to show that you can run a training session, you can plan a training session, what you put in it, how to coach, how you're coaching how to shoot the ball, So that was really interesting that they have something in play that does that, and that wasn't at a high level either. It was junior basketball.
You don't need to be Brian Gorgian to do an individual, right? But you need to have, as you said, what you're doing at your academy is the basics and understand why you're doing the basics. It's like the building blocks of that player, not only to play basketball, but you're also giving them that gift of life as well. You're touching their life to hopefully improve them as a person, and it's a privilege, like I can't wait. I hadn't thought of coming down because I've never met you before, Michele, but I'm pumped. I'm going to make sure that
Door's always open, matey. From 4 to 6 each night down at the Mullum Stadium. Rock up and you'll be very more than welcome.
Michele, we're going to tie a bow on this.
Huh?
We're wrapping it up.
Okie dokie.
Thank you so much. I was so excited that I expected come on, Bruce. But thank you. And will you please give Tom...
Mate, we loved you, Bruce. All the girls wanted to date Brucey Palmer, I tell you. So whenever Bruce's name pops up anywhere, it's always one of fond memories, and love you, Brucey.
God, I'm glad you said that with my son here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's a champion.
You wanted to date him too?
Yeah. I do.
He was a bit out of my league.
Good on you, Michele.
So nice to meet you, Michele.
Yeah, great to be on, guys. Thanks a lot. And I feel like we're got a lot in common with our principles and the way we like to go about coaching the game, as old school as it is.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Don't go changing. I like you just the way you are.
Sounds like a song. Just the way you are. On that note, see you guys.
All right. Thank you, Michele.
Thanks for having me, guys.